So there are a lot of new changes that are now expected to coming forward in 2023, and most of these changes are actually relatively great news. So the big idea is that in today's video, what I really want to talk about is some of the new information that recently came out. For example, the inflation report did come out about a week ago. However, it's going to be relevant over the next couple months into around the end of January 2023. There are some information that has now come out about things related to unemployment, the job market, inflation, how our economy is doing. And then I also have some relatively great news to share at the very end of this video, if you guys stick around for that. I think it's just important to get in some background information to what's happening before we share some of the great news. So we're going to get right to it. And by the way, a lot of this stuff is going to involve putting more money in our pockets. So I think at the end of the day, if that's what we care about, I think it's relatively worth staying around for. So we are going to get right to it, but as always, real fast before we begin, if you guys enjoy videos like this, remember to smash the like button to share some support, or you guys can watch the end, but hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts, suggestions, or even if you guys wanted to say hi. It is really always great to see you guys. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about the inflation report, which recently did come out right here. And the big idea really is that it was noted that they officially have raised the interest rate by about 0.5%. So remember, the last month they raised it by or the last time they made the announcement, they raised it by 0.75%. Now it's being raised by 0.5%, which means that it was now a lower number, which means that we are now officially starting what many people are calling the Fed pivot, with inflation now reported to stand at about 7.1% compared to its expected 7.3%. So it's improving a lot faster and down now from 7.7%, what it was back in October of 2022, only 2 months ago. The borrow rate has also increased to around 4.2 from 4.25% to around 4.5%. So we are actually making a lot of improvements. And the really great news is, and I guess this is a little bit more mixed news, is that because the good news is that we are now starting to see a lot of improvements, and this is very related to us, so we don't have to deal with these insane high prices when we go buy groceries, everything getting expensive. I can certainly say in New York, bills have gotten high, everything has been just increasing and skyrocketing. So this is relatively important for that reason. The not so good news is that their goal, right now at this time, and I guess this goes into the next part, which is about their expectations in 2023 and 24, is that it is expected right now that the inflation rate, or the interest rate, is going to continue increasing all the way until the very beginning of 2024. That's the expectation right now. It might actually physically end up coming sooner, it might end up coming later, but the expectation is that throughout next year, at least for the first half, they're going to continue raising their interest rate. The good news is that what this means is that it's going to hopefully help cure inflation. The not so good news is that it means that things are going to be expensive in the meantime. There is still a lot of ways that they want to go. The ultimate goal that they're really trying to achieve is that they want to bring inflation to right around 5.1%. And they're currently standing at 7.1%. They were at almost 8% at one point. Now it dropped down to 7, but now their goal is to try to hit right around the 4 to 5% mark, but preferably we'll start by hitting about 5%, and that is the goal that they're really trying to achieve and go for right now at this time. Now, maybe some good and also lesser good news, depending on how you see it, is that it is expected that inside of the market, stocks are probably going to continue plummeting. Many people speculate that at best, we are going to start to see the next phase of the Fed pivot around the very end of 2023. That's really like the best case scenario that many people are speculating right now. And if that becomes the case, that's also when many people expect stocks and everything in that world to bottom. Now, random really quick insert, but if by any chance you guys are interested in just learning about stocks and haven't done so, or you guys just want to get some free money, who doesn't love free money? There is a link down in the description to sign up for Webull. You guys probably know about it, but I do still just want to give a shout out right there because I think it's important to kind of share if you haven't done so already. It's basically, if you sign up, you'll get some free stocks, and that's basically free money. You can just transfer it back into the bank account and then just enjoy that money for whatever keepsake pleasure you guys wanted, or for actual necessities like bills and everything related to that world. But on brighter news, what this also means is that it means that it's going to create a lot of buying opportunities if you are someone that is interested in investing. Whether this is investing in stocks, investing in the housing market, there's going to be a lot of buying opportunities that come out. And that is some of the really, really great news to start with. The other big thing is that also, because of the increased interest rates and everything like that, it also means that the interest rates for savings account is also going to go up as well. So if you guys currently have some money and you guys are parking it inside of a savings account, hopefully a high yield one, maybe I'll make a video, talking about specific savings account that I would recommend. Feel free to maybe comment if that's of interest. I do have a video that talks about the top credit cards, so I'll leave that at the end screen on the bottom. But the big idea is that it's going to be a reasonably great time to have money in a savings account, because the reason is that the interest rate is going to be high, and it means that is another one of the great news, is that it means that we're going to be able to collect money guaranteed inside of our savings account higher than certainly what the rate was about two years ago. It is also expected that maybe another relative good news to shares is that because of everything that's happening, wages are going to be expected to increase relatively soon. Now, there is a lot of talks that sadly, the unemployment rate is probably going to go up. So that's why it kind of depends on how you see it. The not so good news is that many people already have, not just that they're going to, but although that's true too, there's a lot of thousands of people that are now expected to lose their jobs further, or have actually already lost their jobs, even in major big corporations and tech companies as well. However, for the people that can actually maintain their jobs, one of the good news is that it's expected that many companies might start to adjust their wages to account the inflation situation. And so because of that reason, many people might potentially now experience some kind of pay raise, which is the really great news I think to share. And maybe the last thing to talk about, and I don't think this is the part that I don't see a lot of other people talking about that is actually relatively great news, is that also another big thing is that it was also announced that about 28 to 29 states/places are going to soon increase minimum wage. And that is another really, really great news that's going to be coming soon. This chart pretty much just highlights, if you're interested in knowing about the minimum wage situation in your particular state, this chart pretty much just highlights 28 specific states. And I'll read them out in a little bit as well, because I know some people like to just listen to this as a podcast, so they're not looking at the screen, or maybe the screen is hard to see. But the big idea is that this highlights all of the states where they're going to be increasing minimum wage to some extent. In some cases, $1 to $2. So that is, increasing that per hour. That's a reasonable amount, especially when you're in that particular minimum wage bracket. But the specific states that are going to have to be able to experience an increase in minimum wage, it's going to be in Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, DC, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, parts of New York, sadly not in New York City, which is really, really strange because we have such a high cost of living. Of course, I'm biased because I'm, someone that's located in New York City. But beyond that, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. So if I read out your state, what this means is that for anyone that happens to be working near minimum wage, or just on the lower income bracket, it means that they're going to be able to finally get more money. It means that they're going to be getting a wage increase, and I think this is some of the really, really great news, depending on your current financial situation, that's going to be coming to any of the states that I mentioned and just read out. So overall, the big idea really to summarize this whole thing is that there are just a lot of changes and things that are happening inside of our country right now. And some of this stuff is actually relatively great news. Some of this is not very great news, but at the end of the day, it's really because a lot of it just really depends on your demographic, your current situation. If you are someone that is in danger of losing your job, this is potentially not very great news. You know, if you're trying to make money off of the stocks, off of the stock market immediately, so you know, in the near future, this is also potentially not very good news either, because it means that we're going to see even more pain and more bleeding inside of stocks. However, there are still actually a lot of great news and silver linings behind it. You know, we talked a little bit in the last video, which we won't talk as much about. There's going to be a video at the end screen on the bottom about how Social Security is now announcing that they're going to be increasing their wages to adjust for inflation coming in January 2023. There are many companies that might be increasing their wages in general to account for inflation as well. Minimum wage, that's something that less people are talking about, is also going to go up in the beginning of 2023 in about like 28 to 29 states slash places, because you know, some states they're only doing it regionally, like for whatever reason, again mentioning New York State is raising their wage, but New York City is not raising their minimum wage, which is kind of strange because, again, of course, because I'm biased. But the big idea is that at least there's more money coming, and I think that is probably the really biggest great news and takeaway to take out of this video. And hopefully we can solve the inflation and everything going on relatively soon. But of course, beyond that is that that's what we really know for now, and that's what I really wanted to share in today's video. So if you guys found that relatively insightful and made it to the end, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to smash the like button or leave a comment for suggestions or improvements or really anything. It's always great to hear from you guys. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, happy holidays, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.